Hello. Today we're going to be learning Likkutei Torah Daf Samach Vav. We are concluding the Maimer Al Kein Yemru HaMoshlim, which was begun on at the end of Daf Samach Daled and continued on through Daf Samach Hey. So this is based on a pasuk. The pasuk reads, Al Kein Yemru HaMoshlim ba'u cheshbon tibana v'sikainin ir סיחון. Concerning this, those who speak in parables say, "Come to Cheshbon, may it be built and established as the city of סיחון." And the next pasuk reads, "Ki eish yatsa me Cheshbon להבה מקרית סיחון achla armayav balim bamis arnain." For a fire went forth from Cheshbon, a flame from the city of סיחון. It consumed Ar of Moav and the masters of the high places of Arnain. And so the Alter Rebbe picks on a Gemara which says which reads this ba'u cheshbon tibana as those who make the cheshbon, those who make the account, those who calculate the cheshbonu shel olam, and the moshlim are those who control their evil inclination. And so the Talmud reads this as those who control their evil inclination are tapping into this broader calculation. And the Alter Rebbe explains that the calculation that they're tapping into is the fact that God, that there's supposed to be a revelation of God in this world. And so by controlling our inclination, our evil inclinations, we are asserting and we are actively participating in revealing God in the world. And now we're going to continue and conclude our reading of this pasuk. So the pasuk continues and says, "Tibana v'sikainin ir סיחון," and the Alter Rebbe explains that the word סיחון is like the word sicha, which means speech, and speech often refers to davening. And the word sicha can either mean speech or it can mean moving from one place to the other. And so the Alter Rebbe explains that the quality of davening, the main point of davening, is that we should move out of our comfort zone, that we should move out of our space in which we value materialism, and we should move towards a place of godliness. And we do this through self-reflection and a degree of bitterness. And what we are asking of God is that He move out of His comfort zone, so to speak, because He exists independent of creation, and we are asking Him to move out of that comfort zone and move into a space where He is able and where He does give us the things that we ask for. And then there's another interpretation of this, that it can also be read as Torah. And once again, it's a similar concept that Torah moves from the comfort zone of being something that is the wisdom of God, that is pure, that is limitless, and it moves out of that space to become the act of Torah that we see, which is graspable, which is appreciable by human beings. And then the pasuk continues and says, "Ki eish yatsa me Cheshbon להבה מקרית סיחון," that a fire comes from Cheshbon, a flame comes from Kiryas סיחון. So the fire that is referred to here is the idea that we, so to speak, burn our nefesh Bahamas, we burn our animal soul. And when it comes to fire, there's two layers of fire. There's the lower layer, which is what is burning the actual material, and there's the higher layer, which is the light that we see and that we perceive. And so the eish yatsa me Cheshbon, the fire that comes from Cheshbon, is the fire that is produced when we do mitzvahs. That when we do a mitzvah, we are using the animal soul and we're using the world around us for godliness, and in that we are burning it, so to speak. We are allowing it to become godly, to become divine, and then God responds by gifting us with the second part of the pasuk, להבה מקרית סיחון, with a flame from above, and this is the divine response that takes the form of Torah. And so these two locations end up being a reference to both mitzvahs and Torah. Now the pasuk continues and says, "Achla ar Moav," that it consumed Ar of Moav, and so Moav is a reference to the intellect, to the intelligent part of Klippa, and the Torah becomes a response to that intelligence. So through mitzvahs and through Torah, we then are able to confront the intellectual component of evil. And not only that, but the pasuk ends off with Bale Bamis Arnain. So Arnain is generally a reference to Chachma and Bina, at their perfect level. Meaning R9 is usually a reference to divine intellect. And when R9 takes but in this case it says Balei Bamas R9, that they control the high places of R9. This high place is the arrogance of intellectualism. It's the arrogance of Klippa, and the intellectual arrogance of Klippa. And so by learning Torah, which Torah is intellectual but is also humble, that allows us to counteract and to respond to the arrogance of the intellectual perspective of Klippa. And with that, we've actually finished our reading. Now, the final thing we have is a beer, is an added explanation where we're going to give another interpretation of this Cheshbon Shel Olam. And very, very, very briefly, Cheshbon, or calculation, is the way that creation is made. That it's all about calculating how there's higher and lower levels, and how the lower something goes, the less revelation it gets. And the revelation that it's missing out on is a revelation that is one of chachma, which is also one of bittul. It's one of humility, because by default, when interacting with chachma, this thing becomes nullified, and so chachma gets lowered as creation becomes more material and more distinct and more separate from God, and so that is limited. What these people tap into, the Cheshbon Shel Olam, is the broader calculation, and in the broader calculation, there's only one God, and God is revealed everywhere. And so the other way of reading this is that we are tapping into the broader calculation of creation, in which defies the calculated structure that we currently have of creation, where things get less, where materialism increases, and we are counteracting that with this broader perspective, with this broader calculation, in which everything is based on our search and our hope for divine revelation.